I crouched by the entrance of the local ice cream parlor, grabbing the arm of the man rushing past me. "Hey, the sundaes are buy one get one. Want to split an order with me?" He lowered his phone and his gaze briefly swept over the banner advertising the couple special. "Oh," I said. "Are we getting back together then?" Caleb narrowed his eyes, a faint smile playing on his lips. "No can do. I'm spoken for. I've got a new girl," he added. "She gets pretty jealous." I froze. He turned away. "Actually, pack the ice cream up to go. She loves it." I still hadn't fully processed what was happening. The cheerful barista had already boxed up the two sundaes. "You two make a lovely couple. Enjoy your evening," she beamed. Caleb's expression remained flat. He took his sundae and started walking. His sleek black Range Rover was parked right by the curb. It was sweltering out, so I had been squatting by the entrance of the fruit shop next door, mooching their AC while licking my ice cream. Before getting into his car, he threw me a look that was half amused, half mocking. "Need a ride, girlfriend?" I glanced at his passenger seat. It was decked out with a fluffy pink seat cover and a cute stuffed animal. It practically screamed that it belonged to someone else. "No, I'm good," I mumbled slowly. "I live close by." Before I could even finish my sentence, he sped off. Hey, don't block the door," the shop owner yelled. Sorry, my legs were aching from squatting so long. As I stood up, I lost my balance. The sundae in my hand hit the pavement with a splat. Ugh, what a waste. A whole boyfriend traded for a dropped ice cream. I smacked my lips, disappointed, and turned to walk home. My studio apartment was simple and clean. I quietly took down the old, framed photo hanging on the wall. In it, a young man with crinkling eyes was smiling brightly, holding a girl's hand like it was his most prized possession. In stark contrast, the girl's face was blank, almost painfully cold. I stared at it for a few seconds longer, then tossed it into the trash can. TSK. No wonder I looked so awful when I tried to smile. No wonder he broke up with me all those years ago. Meow. The stray calico I picked up rubbed against my legs. I popped open a can of wet food for her. I'd bought it yesterday during a buy two, get one free sale at the supermarket. When you're used to being broke, missing out on a deal physically hurts. I almost regretted not asking him for a breakup fee back then. Just then, an unknown number called my phone. I answered. It was Caleb. His voice was still as cold as ice. "If we're getting back together, aren't you going to add me back on Instagram? Do you know how annoying it is to call you?" I quietly muttered an "oh" and was about to say something else, but then, a woman's sweet, whiny voice drifted through the receiver. "Caleb, I'm hungry." He hung up immediately. The dial tone echoed in my ear. Honestly, that whole getting back together thing was a joke. I wanted to tell him to just forget it, but remembering the voice I just heard, it didn't feel right to call him back. I typed in his Instagram handle, user not found, his phone number, also out of service. I slowly hugged my phone and lay back on my bed. Caleb had forgotten that he was the one who deleted me. Later, I remembered to use the phone number from the call to add him as a contact. He accepted the request quickly, but didn't say a word for half the day. I quietly snooped through the 6 years of his life since he left. His social media feed was quiet and monotonous, until last year, when a vibrant girl in a red dress appeared. She looked a lot like I used to. From that day on, Caleb posted more often. His smile wasn't as blazing as it used to be, but it radiated a quiet, steady happiness. I stared at the screen, a little dazed. Halfway through scrolling, the screen went black. It seemed he suddenly remembered and blocked me. I slowly finished my last bite of instant ramen. I tossed my phone aside and wrapped myself tightly in my blanket. I didn't sleep a wink all night. For the next few days, it was like both of us had completely forgotten the incident. I prepped my lessons, went to the middle school to teach, fed the cat. My life was a simple 2-point line. He was busy with his tech company, flying out for negotiations and meetings. Occasionally, I'd see him on the local news. Caleb Thorne, tech prodigy, rises to power, acquires rival firms. Whenever Chloe came over, she'd bring groceries. We'd sit on the couch, munching on watermelon, and watch the news together. His success had made a lot of wealthy heiresses eager to throw their hats in the ring. "Mr. Thorne, you've rejected all proposals for an arranged marriage. May we ask why?" a bold reporter asked on TV. Caleb narrowed his eyes, his demeanor composed yet aloof, but a fleeting, almost imperceptible warmth flashed in his eyes. "I have a girlfriend." Everyone assumed it was the girl living in his mansion. Chloe poked me, hesitating before asking, "Didn't you just say you guys got back together? Is he going to marry you? I mean, the way he chased you back in high school. The whole town knew about it." I stared at the polite, distant man on the screen. I shook my head. I tapped her lightly on the head. "Dummy, who becomes someone's girlfriend over a scoop of ice cream?" Caleb clearly didn't care about me at all. "I know, but he was the Caleb who loved you more than anything in the world." She counted on her fingers. "You guys skipped class together, one stuff at the arcade, had your first kiss. Every time you even looked at him, that cold, untouchable guy would come running like an eager puppy. The memories felt so distant now. By the way, tell me honestly, did you really dump him because you cheated? I hummed softly and shook my head truthfully. Chloe fell silent for a moment, then changed the subject. It's okay, don't be sad. It's not like we're short on men. I looked up and said slowly, I was fine to begin with. She choked on her words, tied on an apron, and went into the kitchen to cook. TSK. I should have known you don't have a heart. Hurry up and help me. I thought things would just go back to normal. Until one night, he initiated a text. Let's grab dinner tomorrow night. I'll wait for you downstairs. I had just gotten out of the shower when I saw the message. Right. It had been 6 years since the breakup. Maybe it was because I was getting older, but I just felt lazy. I was still living in the same small apartment we used to share. After staring at the screen for a while, I finally remembered to decline. No thanks, I have plans tomorrow. His reply was brief. I'm only waiting 3 minutes. Cold, distant, and impatient. It hit me then. He was no longer the Caleb who catered to my every whim. But honestly, I really didn't want to go to that dinner. I thought about it for a moment, then started typing. I'm really sorry. I didn't actually mean anything by it. It was just that the ice cream special was so rare, and it was so hot out. And you were the only person on the street I recognized. It would be rude to ask a stranger to split an order. At least we used to date. Let's just drop it. It's better for everyone. The more I wrote, the messier it got. I deleted the whole thing. I just sent one sentence. I was joking about getting back together the other day. Sorry about that. I sat there holding my phone for a while. He didn't reply. I sighed. All that bitterness from 6 years ago. Let's just leave it in the past. I didn't think much of it. He was probably too lazy to argue and just blocked me again. But when I came home from teaching that afternoon, I ran right into Caleb at the school gates. He was leaning lazily against his car, drawing a crowd of staring schoolgirls. Is that Caleb Thorne? Wow, he's so handsome. Yeah, he was the state valedictorian 8 years ago. Caleb was staring blankly at the oak trees on campus. I quietly tried to walk past him, but he called out, Maya, long time no see. Turns out you've been teaching at Lincoln High this whole time. Lincoln High was our alma mater. A mocking glint appeared in his eyes. What? Feeling nostalgic? Couldn't bear to leave? I blinked, letting out a confused awe. Yeah, I couldn't bear to leave. They offered me double the salary. Caleb's expression darkened. Humph, still as obsessed with money as ever, I see. I honestly couldn't read his expression. He pulled open the car door and got in. Get in, I said slowly. I really can't go. Caleb calmly rolled down the window. The seafood boil is half off today. I asked in a small, uncertain voice, can I get it to go? He looked like he was so annoyed he was going to laugh. Whatever you want. I quickly climbed into the back seat. He was driving a different car today, a Porsche Cayenne. It looked barely used, and the passenger seat was free of all those pink accessories. Caleb drove in total silence. I leaned against the window, neither of us speaking. Honestly, I didn't understand why he came looking for me. I clearly told him it was a joke, and he didn't seem like the type to cling to the past. He caught my eye in the rearview mirror. Looking irritated, he pulled out a cigarette. My eyes flickered. I opened my mouth to speak. He was holding the cigarette pack and accidentally pressed a button on the dashboard. A sweet, playful female voice filled the car. My dearest Caleb, are you in a bad mood again? Don't smoke, okay? Let me sing you a song. You are my sunshine, my only sunshine. I froze, and he seemed startled too. He instinctively put the cigarette back. A warm, incredibly soft smile spread across his face. It was almost frightening how happy he looked. Leaving me sitting there, truly and completely uncomfortable, we arrived quickly. It was a casual seafood joint by the pier. Caleb went inside to order, and I leaned against the railing, enjoying the ocean breeze. A drunk, overweight man stumbled over and slung an arm around my shoulder. Hey there, gorgeous. Where's your boyfriend? I quietly pushed his arm off and took a step back. The guy was persistent, continuing to harass me. I caught Caleb's eye from a distance. He just stood there, watching quietly. It wasn't until a few men nearby couldn't stand it anymore and stepped in to stop the guy that Caleb finally sauntered over. The drunk guy seemed to recognize him and sobered up instantly. Mr. Thorne, I didn't know she was with you. I was just. Caleb smiled and patted the guy on the shoulder. You can mess with her. It has nothing to do with me. I stared at him. He shrugged, his eyes devoid of any warmth. What? I said we're getting back together. I didn't say I had to treat you well. With that, Caleb grabbed the tray of seafood and beers and walked away. He leaned back in his wicker chair. I stood there, refusing to sit. Eat something first. The to-go boxes won't hold all of this. I finally felt like something was off and asked quietly, Mr. Thorne, did you read my message? He looked at me calmly, his tone careless. What message? I don't have the free time to stare at your chat window all day. I still didn't move. He grew impatient. Are you going to eat or what? I looked down. Everything on the table was what I usually loved, and I was really hungry. I reached out and tried a skewer. It was so spicy that tears instantly sprang to my eyes. Cough. Cough. Doesn't it taste good? He watched me with unabashed scrutiny. Oh, I forgot. This is how I like it. In the past, I always went along with your bland food. Tonight, you can just deal with it. I stayed quiet, rinsing the food in my water glass before eating it, but it only seemed to get spicier. Aside from the heat, the seafood was fresh and tender. He squinted at me for a moment, then raised a hand to call the waiter. Bring another order of everything on the table. Make it mild this time. He paused. And grab a slice of strawberry mousse. I pulled out a wet wipe and said slowly, never mind. I want to go home. Caleb raised an eyebrow. What? Is that all it takes to make you feel wronged? It wasn't that bad, really. It was just that the spice was burning my stomach, and that burning sensation was slowly creeping into my chest. It felt incredibly uncomfortable. I just wanted to go home immediately. I couldn't even be bothered to pack up the leftovers. He stood up, pushing the plates away. Fine, let's go. I'll take you. I opened my mouth to decline. As if anticipating my refusal, he added, we're in the Marina District. It's 10 miles from your place, and you have no sense of direction. Do you want to walk until dawn? Caleb naturally grabbed my hand. I struggled uncomfortably, but just like in the past, he held on tighter. I couldn't pull away, so I just gave up. As we were walking out, I pulled out my phone, planning to snap a picture of the restaurant to share the hidden gem with Chloe later. Caleb, who had been staring off into space, suddenly lunged. He swatted the phone out of my hand. Don't take pictures. His voice was loud, instantly drawing the attention of everyone nearby. They all turned to look at us. He said coldly, if I see a picture of us online, I have ways to ruin you. I was stunned. It took me a moment to process what he said. My phone hit the ground, the screen shattering completely. I bent down to pick it up, wiping the dirt off the screen. It was a shame, really. It was a brand new phone. I said slowly. I didn't want a picture of us, and I certainly wasn't going to post anything online. I just thought the food was good and wanted to bring a friend next time. A flicker of guilt flashed through Caleb's eyes, quickly replaced by his usual coldness. He pursed his lips. I'll buy you a new one. That model is old anyway. It's from last year. I shook my head quietly. No need. There's no reason for you to buy me anything. I'll call a friend to pick me up. Have a good night, Mr. Thorne. Caleb narrowed his eyes, grabbing my wrist with a cold sneer. What do you mean, no reason? Weren't you the one begging to get back together? I finally realized what he was talking about and let out an ah. I waved my shattered phone. Didn't you read my message? I was really just joking. What are you talking about? He frowned and pulled out his phone. My messages were on Do Not Disturb. It was pretty obvious who had done that. I said apologetically. I'm so sorry. I really just wanted the discount on the ice cream. If I made you misunderstand, I feel terrible. Maya. His face darkened, cutting me off. He practically gritted his teeth. So, it was all for a scoop of ice cream? I blinked, confused. Yeah, fine. Maya, you are really something. He let out a few cold laughs. He kicked a nearby tree hard, sending a shower of oak leaves raining down on me. Do you have any idea how much I want to strangle you every time I see that blank, indifferent look on your face? He seemed to finally explode. You're an emotional cripple. Who else but me would ever put up with you? Don't regret this. Caleb walked away, exuding a freezing chill. I stood there, frozen. The people walking by were giving me weird looks and whispering, so she's emotionally stunted? She doesn't even know how to love someone. Her poor boyfriend, dealing with a selfish, cold partner. No wonder he was so mad. Ugh, people with that kind of mental issue shouldn't even date. They just ruin other people's lives. She belongs in a psych ward. I looked down at the ground. Caleb was angry again. The breakup 6 years ago flashed in my mind. He was just as furious and desperate back then. Maya, why don't you ever say you love me? Say it. Why am I always the one trying? Why do you always look like you couldn't care less about me? Did you want to break up this whole time? He slammed his fist on the table, loud and hoarse. We were in a crowded place. The broken glass cut his hand, staining it red, and his eyes were bloodshot. I was genuinely terrified. I didn't know how to respond. Seeing him like that, I was so scared. Memories from my childhood came rushing back. I covered my ears and screamed, "Then let's just break up." As soon as those words left my mouth, everything finally went quiet. But later, even though I took all my medication, it didn't help. When I finally went looking for him, he already had someone new. Someone who actually knew how to love him. I didn't know when, but a light drizzle started falling from the sky. I lied to him. No one was coming to pick me up. I quietly knocked on the door of the clinic next door. "Doctor, can you cure emotional detachment?" A man in a white coat happened to be leaning against the doorframe. He glanced at me and spoke lazily. "I guarantee a cure. Give me 3 sentences, and you'll be fixed." I widened my eyes. He coughed. "First sentence, I love you." Me? I took a closer look at the man in front of me. He had pale skin, a tall, lean build, and both hands stuffed in his coat pockets. He had a cold, aloof face, but his eyes shone like stars. They were bright and incredibly gentle. I was a little distracted. He was almost too beautiful. I was worried I'd stumbled into some shady host club. The head doctor next to me was still enthusiastically winking at me. I silently turned to leave. "Hey, miss." He flashed his medical ID. "Graduated with a master's from a top medical school. Dr. Liam Hayes." I vaguely remembered seeing him on the news, doing volunteer work in Africa, curing tropical fevers or something. Well, he was a famous doctor, it seemed. "My name is Liam. Nice to meet you, Ms. Weaver." His eyes crinkled as he extended a long, elegant hand. I shook it hesitantly. "How do you know my name?" He rubbed his nose. "You guys were pretty loud out there. I accidentally overheard." I looked down. "But don't worry, we doctors have strict professional ethics. Patient confidentiality is guaranteed," he quickly explained. I said flatly, "No need to keep it a secret. It's not a big deal anyway." With that, I turned to walk away again. "I can really help you. If you don't want to talk about it, do you want to grab some crawfish?" This weird doctor was a total chatterbox. His thought process was all over the place. "Why don't you come inside and sit for a bit, wait out the rain?" Liam opened the door for me and handed me an umbrella. The rain was pouring now, splashing right in my face. I didn't take it. He clicked his tongue and brushed the raindrops off his shoulder. Just as I was about to step out the door, Liam called out, "I can help you win him back." In that instant, my tears suddenly started flowing, mixing with the rain. I didn't know how long I'd been holding them back. The tears burst out like a broken dam. I couldn't stop them, no matter how hard I tried. My whole body was shaking, and I was practically choking on my sobs. My fingernails dug deeply into my palms. "What does it matter to you?" I turned to look at him, feeling anger for the first time in a long time. "I don't need to win him back. There's no chance for us. He hates me." Liam seemed stunned. "I'm sorry. I was out of line. I just wanted to help," he said quietly. "Just a stranger." I calmed down quickly. I wiped my eyes and tried to make a joke. "Is this your Hippocratic oath in action? Saving the dying?" He smiled too, nodding. "Then please, tell me, is there any hope for me?" I dropped the umbrella and slowly walked back inside. Does someone like me, who can't feel emotions, even deserve to live in this world? I don't know joy, anger, sorrow, or happiness. I don't know how to connect with people. Liam turned on the heater and poured me a cup of hot tea. I disappoint them. I let down the people around me. I'm disappointed in myself. My throat hitched. They're right. I'm a cold, unfeeling monster. I talked faster and faster, spilling more and more, not even knowing what I was saying. By the end, my voice was shaking. His gorgeous eyes curved into crescents. He let out a soft laugh. "You make it sound like a terminal illness." "It's nothing, miss. That's hardly a sickness. And I'm a miracle worker. There's nothing I can't do." He started going off topic again. "Like this one time in Africa, a little girl had terrible ear pain. Everyone did all these tests, thinking it was early-stage leprosy. But I was the one who finally realized she just had a bug in her ear." I silently stared at the ID badge on his chest. "But you're a dentist. How are you going to fix my heart?" Liam patted my shoulder confidently. "It's all connected, just like an earache and a toothache." He smiled like a sly cat. "Let me teach you how to date." I frantically waved my hands. What if I ran away again? Liam laced his fingers together and sat in front of me. He started to look serious. "You've only had one relationship, right?" I nodded. "Then why do you think that one experience defines your whole life?" I paused and looked up at him. "But in my youth, Caleb was the best person in the world to me." He stopped smiling. "When I was very young, I was the little princess of a wealthy family, too. I only remember having countless diamonds and maids. My dad was always away on business, and my mom spent her days playing the piano and playing mahjong with the other rich wives. They had a good relationship, and I was an only child. I always got whatever I wanted. When my mom was drunk, she would kiss my cheeks. Our little Maya is the happiest baby in the world." It tickled, and I would giggle. I always believed that, too. But later, my dad's investments failed. It was just a small mistake, but it snowballed. The house was mortgaged, the jewels were sold. They started fighting. In the end, my dad stood on the roof of a high-rise. He jumped. I cried until my throat was raw, but my mom just smiled. She stroked my hair. "This is good. This is better." The next day, my mom, who never lifted a finger in the kitchen, cooked a huge feast. While I was gnawing on a chicken drumstick, my mom brought over a bowl of soup and asked me softly, "Do you love Daddy?" Tears streamed down my face, and I nodded frantically. She smiled. "Then why don't you go die with him?" With that, she downed the soup in her hand in one gulp. Then she poured a bowl for me. "Drink it, and our whole family will be happy again." I was terrified by the look on her face. Blood started pouring from her mouth, and her face twisted in agony. "Don't you love Mommy? Then why won't you come with me, you ungrateful little brat?" She forced the spoon to my lips, obsessively chanting, "Drink." I was forced to swallow a few mouthfuls. The pain in my stomach was like being sliced with knives. It hurt so much. I started screaming, "Mommy, Mommy." The neighbors came and called the police. My mom died, and I barely survived. That was the first time I realized that love is a crazy, terrifying thing. I gradually became quiet, withdrawn, and expressionless. After bouncing around, I was eventually adopted, and then abandoned again. They were a lovely, pathetic couple. They were actually good people. It's just that they eventually had their own child. My adoptive mother took me to the amusement park and bought me ice cream. Her last words to me were, "I love you. I hope the rest of your life is happy." I instinctively replied, "I love you too." She froze for a moment, and then she disappeared. I had a terrible sense of direction. I couldn't find her anywhere. I knew I had said the wrong thing. From then on, I forced myself to learn how to navigate, and I never said I love you again. Meeting Caleb was an accident. In the most dull, monotonous years of my youth, he was like my shadow. Through middle school and high school, he was always right behind me, making me laugh, trying to make me happy, sharing his snacks with me. I was silent. I rejected him. I was expressionless. But he was tireless, standing behind me unconditionally. Caleb was my complete opposite, outgoing, generous, from a wealthy family. He was like a little sun that never stopped smiling. I started to feel happy, and occasionally, I would smile and respond to him. Finally, on the day we finished our SATs, I accepted his confession and applied to the same college. We ended up in the same city. We spent a period of time that you could call sweet. So, what happened later? Seeing me lost in thought, Liam asked softly. Later, what happened later? I said slowly. Later, when we were having dinner for Valentine's Day, we exchanged gifts. I got him a blue tie. It wasn't his favorite color, and he got mad. He was stunned. That's it? It was probably the accumulation of dissatisfaction over those few years. I rarely smiled. I didn't like being touched, and I wouldn't sweetly say I love you like other girls. Taking a deep breath, I stood up. It's getting late. I need to go. He drove me home. My phone kept buzzing with notifications, but the screen was broken so I couldn't unlock it. I just ignored it. Liam stopped the car near the bakery by my apartment and walked me part of the way. He still had that same eye-crinkling smile. "Ms. Weaver, I heard a very unforgettable story tonight. Thank you for sharing. You must be exhausted today. Get some rest." I kept my head down and murmured a no. He walked ahead of me with his hands behind his back. Then he flashed that playful, cynical smile again. "By the way, strictly for treatment purposes, are you sure you don't want to try saying I love you?" He added, "It doesn't have to mean anything. Just saying it out loud is good practice." My face fell. Just then, we ran into two people walking out of a restaurant hand in hand. A girl in a red dress was clinging to Caleb's arm. She looked at us and stuck her tongue out playfully. "Ew, saying sweet nothings on the street? Have some shame." Caleb stopped swiping irritably on his phone. He looked up at me, then shifted his gaze to the man beside me. The air around him turned freezing cold. He looked us up and down with a half smile. "Oh, moving on that fast?" His voice was dripping with sarcasm. "Your taste is terrible." The girl beside him asked quietly, "Do you guys know each other?" He answered her gently, helping her pull her coat tighter. "Not really." I was about to shake my head and deny it, but then I realized there was no point. I tried to walk around them, but Liam's competitive side kicked in. He puffed out his chest, smiling harmlessly. "What exactly makes you think my taste is terrible?" Caleb's face darkened, but as he looked closer, he seemed to recognize Liam. He must have known him. He relaxed slightly. "Dr. Hayes, you have enough free time to walk your patients home? You know me, the #1 slacker in the city. Just found something interesting to do." Liam smiled, twirling his car keys. "Besides, I'm teaching her how to date. Don't go ruining my lessons." I blinked, confused. I was slowly opening my mouth to argue, but Liam shoved the hot cup of tea into my hands and coaxed me. "You head back first. I'm just going to catch up with an old friend." I walked a few steps forward. Caleb's expression suddenly turned stormy, his dark eyes brewing with fury. He let out a sudden, cold laugh and dropped the girl's hand. "Dating someone with zero emotional capacity? Liam, you must be out of your mind." Anger had completely consumed his reason. He lowered his voice, emphasizing every word. "Maya Weaver is a monster who doesn't know how to love. She literally doesn't have a heart." I stopped in my tracks. "Heh, you think she's your lover, but she's just playing you for a fool." Liam sighed. He patted Caleb's shoulder. "Caleb, calm down. You're too eager. Maybe I'm just more patient. I think she's great. She even said thank you when she got out of the car." He smiled, but his eyes grew cold. "And you chose to walk out with her, but you abandoned her halfway. Honestly, man, as a guy, I think that's incredibly irresponsible, and I don't really want to argue with you about it." He scoffed. "But even if you're bitter, you don't have to humiliate the poor girl in the middle of the street." I couldn't help but turn to look at him. Liam had his hands in his pockets, his expression unreadable. Caleb, on the other hand, looked dazed, his body going rigid. A flash of pain crossed his eyes, and he clutched his chest, squatting on the ground. He looked utterly defeated and heartbroken. "What do you know?" The girl in the red dress had no idea what had just happened, but she looked incredibly anxious and worried, reaching out to help him up. "Mr. Thorne, are you okay?" She looked like she was about to cry. "Can you give us a ride to the hospital? He doesn't look good." Liam looked at her. He said softly, Caleb, the past is the past. Appreciate the person right in front of you. That night, I thought I would cry my eyes out again, break down in tears, but miraculously, nothing happened. I couldn't feel that intense, overwhelming sadness anymore. The guilt that had been secretly torturing me for years finally dissolved today. After my shower, I lay on my bed and used my old phone to text Liam. I had no idea when he'd secretly added me. Did you think I looked really handsome today? Question mark. I saw you turn around to sneak a peek at me. It's just a shame I didn't get a chance to show off my 8-pack. I changed the subject. Are you home yet? Yeah. You? You didn't catch a cold, did you? No, I'm fine. I'm going to sleep now. Good night. He replied seriously, Maya, that's not how this works. I just showed concern for you. Out of politeness, you're supposed to say something back. Oh. I typed slowly. Did the kind, generous Dr. Hayes get wet in the rain? You should have some ginger tea and go to bed early, too. Liam sent a massive thumbs up emoji. Even through the screen, I knew he was trying not to laugh. I found it funny too. Good night. Yeah, good night. What a child. I put my phone down and looked in the mirror. To my surprise, I saw the corners of my mouth turning up. My eyes were crinkling, and I was laughing so hard I couldn't catch my breath. I splashed some cold water on my face. Get a grip, I told myself. After that, Liam started asking me to hang out all the time. He called it treatment, but he never brought up my illness. Like any normal person, he took me to see the flowers, go hiking, and eat all sorts of amazing food. More often than not, I'd just hang out at his clinic, watching him see patients, write prescriptions, and treat illnesses. I saw their pain and their worries, and sometimes, I'd see really funny things. The third time Liam had to assure a middle-aged man that his tooth only looked green because a piece of spinach was stuck in it. I rolled around on the couch, laughing hysterically. When Chloe called me, she was laughing too. Is this your second spring? I just hummed in response. Liam would often look at me with pleasant surprise. When I smiled more, when I started swearing at people, when I ate a ton of food. See, that's definitely the power of my charm. I'd just smile and stay quiet. Actually, over the last 6 years, I had been trying to change myself. Because I felt bad about Caleb, I wanted to make it up to him. But seeing that he was doing fine now, and that he clearly resented me, I figured it was best to just let it go. That lingering obsession in my heart finally dissipated. During that time, I saw Caleb a few more times. He'd always just stare at me, looking dazed. Different gifts started appearing at my door, along with a brand new phone. I sipped my bubble tea, turned to Liam, and whispered in his ear. He was swamped with a bunch of patients, working efficiently. But he still managed to look up and joke with me. He's just jealous of me. But it's fine, I'm a generous guy. Let him look all he wants. However, at Liam's strong suggestion, I decided to move out of that little apartment. I also quit my job at Lincoln High. The memories there really weren't good for me anymore. On moving day, I ran into Caleb again. It was pouring rain. He didn't have an umbrella, and he was just leaning quietly against my door. Why haven't you been answering my calls? I blinked, feigning innocence. No time. I've been out having fun lately. His voice was dark. With Liam Hayes? You two certainly seem to hit it off. I smiled. Yeah, we really get along. Hearing this, a terrifying, bone-chilling fire flared in Caleb's eyes. He grabbed my arm and pinned me against the wall. He growled, "What about me, Maya? Am I worth absolutely nothing to you? Are you just going to throw away all the years we spent together?" The back of my head throbbed from hitting the wall, but my face remained impassive. Looking at his furious expression, I said softly, "Caleb, you were the one who threw it away first. Those 6 years after we broke up, I didn't have a good time." He recoiled, pulling me tightly into his chest, murmuring, "Then come back. We still have a chance." He was stubborn. "If you say no, I don't care where you go, I'll follow you." I struggled slightly and said calmly, "You know I don't like being forced. And if you do this, where does that leave that other girl? I can tell she loves you very much." He was silent for a long time, letting out a soft sound that was almost a sigh. "What about you? Can you love me just a little? Please? I didn't mean to insult you those last few days. I just lost my mind." His words spilled out in a rush. "Seeing you with another man, seeing you not care about me at all. I was so jealous." Liam was right. I was just bitter. He was standing so close that the raindrops from his hair fell onto my face, like unspoken tears, burning against my skin. The man known for his ruthless business tactics was weeping and begging in front of me. "I'm sorry," I said slowly, "it's fine. I'll forget about it in a few days." Hearing that, all the energy drained out of him. He let out a low, defeated laugh. "You're always so cold and heartless." I looked down. I really was trying my best, you know. My throat hitched. I wiped a tear from the corner of my eye, and suddenly, I smiled. "Caleb, that day, It took all my courage to ask you to get back together in the middle of the street. I was on my period that day. I didn't actually want to eat ice cream. He froze completely. The buy one get one ice cream was just an excuse. I had waited for him on the side of the street for a long time that day. I wasn't the only one who didn't try in our past relationship. Sometimes, I would try very hard to get closer to him. Carrying a small box downstairs, I thought about it. I gently placed the umbrella I was holding by the front door. A little ways away, Liam was waving at me. He was holding an umbrella, opening the car door for me. Even though he'd been waiting for a long time, he didn't complain about how slow I was. He asked gently, "Why didn't you bring an umbrella?" I shook my head. I accidentally forgot it. He took the box from my hands, glancing briefly toward the stairwell. He smiled and gently took my hand. "Let's go then." Okay. I submitted my resume to a local kindergarten, spending every day with a bunch of little kids, doing arts and crafts, playing music. It put me in a really good mood. The rest of the time, I'd grab meals with Liam. He used to cook for one all the time, so now he just dragged me along as his dining buddy. I realized Liam was incredibly observant. Even though we hadn't spent that much time together, he knew if I preferred my eggs sunny side up or over easy. He knew when I'd had too many bland meals and was craving something spicy. But he could also be super petty. If he put a piece of steak on my plate, he'd just stare at me expectantly. Sighing in defeat, I'd pour him a glass of juice. "Thank you, Dr. Hayes." When he was washing dishes, I'd stand next to him and watch. Liam would whine playfully, "Do I get a reward kiss?" "No way. I don't like kisses." I rejected him firmly, "But I can wipe your sweat for you." As soon as the words left my mouth, I looked at his face nervously. In the past, whenever I rejected Caleb, his face would darken and we'd end up in a huge fight. "Other guys' girlfriends do it, why can't you?" But I was worrying for nothing. Liam wasn't mad at all. He just leaned his head over. His face brushed against my palm, a little ticklish. I blushed. Looking at his innocent, puppy dog eyes, I couldn't resist pecking him on the cheek. And then I ran away, leaving him standing there, absolutely beaming. Ha 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 ha. Damn it, he was using his good looks against me. When he was busy and tired, I'd sometimes volunteer to cook. But I didn't know what he liked, and I was too embarrassed to ask directly. So I'd just make a little bit of everything. When Liam came home from work and sat down with his bowl, he ate literally everything, so I couldn't tell what his favorites were. Catching my cautious glances, he tried to hold back a smile. "Next time, just ask me about little things like this. Besides, I'm not a picky eater." He lazily took my hand. "Maya, don't be so nervous. We're dating, I'm not your boss. It takes time to get to know someone and adjust. You're already doing great." He pulled me into a hug. I asked quietly, "Then how do you know me so well?" "It makes me feel embarrassed." He blinked. "Maybe I was just born with the natural talent to love you." "Be serious." I swatted him, and he smiled, his eyes crinkling. "Because I knew you before. You just forgot me." "Huh? Shoo, it's a secret." I pouted. He teased me. "If you want to know, call me husband first." He laughed, clearly enjoying how red my face was getting. 2 months later, Liam proposed to me. On the day of the proposal, Caleb showed up. Amidst the cheers of the crowd, he charged forward and dragged me away. It was crowded at the amusement park. He floored the gas pedal, and Liam couldn't catch up in time. It was late spring, and a fine drizzle had started falling unnoticed. People were running everywhere to find cover, and Caleb was speeding through the rain with me in the car. The doors were locked. I couldn't help but turn to look at him. "Are you insane?" His face was a mask of stubbornness and trembling desperation. "Maya, you promised to be with me forever. How could you break your promise?" Caleb stared at me intently, running several red lights in a row. "Stop the car." He grabbed my hand, growling. "You can't say yes to him. He won't treat you well. No one in the world loves you more than I do. We're meant to be." A terrifying, obsessive glint flashed in his eyes, startling me. Maybe he saw my fear. His voice suddenly became very soft and gentle. "Maya, I broke up with Elena." Elena, the girl he had kept hidden in that mansion. I paused. "And your point is?" He let out a self-deprecating laugh. "Why don't you ask me why?" I hadn't paid attention to the news lately, but Caleb Thorne's erratic behavior and sudden reclusiveness had been making headlines. He had sold off several major shares in a row, and then, right next to the little path we used to walk down so many times at Lincoln High, he had a building constructed. He personally signed it, Caleb and Maya, together forever. The news had left many reporters utterly confused. The name Maya wasn't a familiar one, and the mansion where he had hidden his lover had been sold. Where the girl had gone, and why, no one knew. "Because I really don't care." He smiled bitterly, but continued anyway. "Because I realized I still can't forget you. She's great. She's more considerate, gentle, and kind than you. And more importantly, she loves me very much." He slammed his fist against the steering wheel, his eyes bloodshot. On the rainy overpass, Caleb wasn't even looking at the road. He looked at me, almost whispering, "But why do I always think of you?" He clutched his head, looking like he was in immense pain. "Every time I wake up from a nightmare, I wish the person lying next to me was you." It wasn't fair to her, so I gave her a sum of money and told her to leave. I looked at him calmly, not saying a word. "I'm just bitter. I just feel so wronged. Why does someone who came later get to win? Why do the 10 years I spent by your side mean less than him?" His voice was hoarse. "Just tell me you love me, please? How can you possibly love him more than you love me?" I covered my ears and screamed. "Enough. I finally managed to let you go. Why are you pushing me again? Everything could have been fine. We could have gone our separate ways." Caleb cut me off, his eyes blazing red. "What if I don't want to go our separate ways? Whether it's love or hate, I'm going to be tangled up with you, forever and ever." I screamed at the top of my lungs. "But I don't want to. I don't want to." He gasped for air, finally calming down. "Then let's just die together." I calmed down too, and smiled. "Okay, but I'll hate you. Let's make sure we never meet again in our next lives." Caleb's hands froze. At that moment, the car violently swerved toward the center median. He hesitated for a split second, then suddenly yanked the steering wheel, throwing the car into a spin. The left side of the car slammed head-on into the iron barrier. A deafening crash echoed through the air, and I blacked out. When I woke up, all I could hear were ambulance sirens and police cars. The last thing I remember was Liam carefully pulling me out of the wreckage. "Maya?" I kept my eyes open, using every ounce of strength I had to look one last time at the bloody, mangled figure in the driver's seat. Caleb gently tapped his bloody finger against my hand. "Go." After I was discharged from the hospital, no one ever mentioned that name again. My wedding with Liam was delayed by 6 months. He was always incredibly sweet to me, and I rarely thought about the past anymore. He was always treating me to dinner, so one day, I initiated a date. It was a seafood hot pot place. I did the ordering: crab, oysters, and a birthday cake I'd prepared just for him. He was thrilled, pulling me in for a big kiss. "Thank you, wifey." As we were eating, I held an oyster up to his mouth. He froze for a second, then gently pushed my hand away with a smile. "I'm allergic to oysters." I stiffened, suddenly feeling incredibly awkward. I'm so sorry, I didn't know." We'd been together for over a year. The more I spoke, the guiltier I felt. He took my hand and burst out laughing. "It's okay. I can also just tell you directly that my favorite color for ties is purple." Liam winked at me. "That way, you don't have to secretly agonize over what color to pick under the covers every night."